Here's exactly how to do it. So there's a reason why most agents never get listings quickly because most agents actually overcomplicate the entire process about actually getting a deal in the first place because they think they need a couple of different things. They think they need a website or they need some paid ads, trying to run Facebook ads or Instagram ads, or maybe even trying out YouTube ads. I know you'll see all the social media channels and different things like that trying to tell you need to run ads. And a lot of agents even think they need a CRM or need some fancy branding. So they're spending all their time working on logos and all these different things that just really aren't getting them listings. Because the truth is you can actually book in your first listing appointment within 72 hours without using any of these things I just talked about right here. Because all it takes is actually just having a small targeted list of actual sellers, a very good and strong first message, and a follow-up system that you can actually stick to consistently to keep using over and over again. And I'm actually going to show you exactly how you can do it literally step by step in this video so you don't waste another week, a day, or another month trying to get deals and not getting any results. So step number one from this is very, very simple. We need to actually build a list of motivated sellers, which we can actually do in 30 minutes. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So it's very simple. You can use things like Zillow for sale by owners and literally sort them based on price drops or even long time basically being on the market. So basically they've been on there for a while, they just aren't selling and things of that nature. That's how you can filter them by, or even going onto your MLS and searching up expired listings or withdrawn listings. Very easy way to do that. And if you want to invest a little bit of money into trying to get some more listings, especially very, very fast, you can actually invest in a platform like Vulcan 7 for reference if you obviously want to spend a little bit of money to actually have an endless amount of lead opportunities in front of you. Because a lot of agents think that leads are the issue when it comes to actually getting more deals, when most of the time it's not leads. And I'm actually going to show you why. And so there's a couple of things I want you to look for when you're trying to get a deal as fast as possible. Is you need to make sure that the homeowners who basically are there in front of you have some level of intention of wanting to actually sell their property. If not, you're going to waste your time. And that's why a lot of agents feel like they're being burnt out because they're working 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours a day trying to get deals, and they're not actually talking to motivated sellers. And then from that, you also want to find properties that failed to sell recently, because those are people who basically had the most level of intention of wanting to sell. Something's happened, maybe the marketing strategy wasn't right or whatever it is, and they weren't able to sell that property. So naturally, we can capitalize on top of that if we obviously use the right systems. And from there, you also want to be looking at specific areas if you know your current market as well, areas where there's actually low inventory, but demand is very, very high. So for reference, if you live in a town where there's like a military base for reference, lots of homes around the military base are going to be in very, very high demand because people are constantly going in and out of that compared to a basically like a location that's a little bit more inland or whatever it is. That's just obviously as a reference, but obviously if you know your market, you're a good agent, you can obviously know where these areas are. So just do a little bit of research into that and you can find those certain areas. And what I want you to do is actually just organize. If you don't have any organization in your business, you're not going to know what your potential is and how much potential deal value you have in front of you on actually, listings that you could be getting, but you might not actually be able to because you don't even know how many you actually have in front of you. So the easiest way to do this is by using a Notion CRM. You can make some of these completely for free. You can literally just Google, Notion CRM for real estate agents. There'll be some out there already made for you. Or you can even keep it super, super simple, use a Google Sheet, or literally you can print out your entire call sheet if you want to as well. That's more convenient for you. You like having paper in hand, go ahead and do it. I always kind of recommend just going with the Google Sheet, super, super simple. And from that, your entire target is to get 30 to 50 solid leads. So don't need to be leads that are like, I'm begging to work with any type of agent. No agents just contacted me yet, but I'm ready to sell. It just needs to be people who have some level of intention or more than likely kind of want to end up selling their home relatively quickly. That's what we end up needing to have for here, 30 to 50 of those leads. Now, the second step to this is using a message to actually start these conversations. So basically, a lot of agents tend to sound the same, especially if they're reaching out through cold calling or even texting. Every single agent sounds the same. It always causes resistance from the actual prospect, causes a lot of that sales tension. People don't like it. That's why a lot of people hate real estate agents or say they hate real estate agents, is because there's a lot of agents doing a lot of bad things, and that's the reason why. And so an example cold call opener can be super, super simple. We don't want to overcomplicate this. It's just like, hey, John, I know this is random. I noticed your home was listed a few months ago, and I was wondering if you could help me out for a moment. Just super, super simple. And it's also going to interrupt the pattern they're used to hearing from their agents, because most agents just sit there and say like, hey, John, I saw your property on 123 Street. Are you still looking to sell? Like, that's what they typically say, which you're kind of asking to work with them without them knowing anything about you. Like, imagine like if I called you up right now and I was just like, hey, do you want to buy this car for $30,000? You're like, I have no idea who you are, don't really know anything about you, like nothing whatsoever. So obviously there's not gonna be any level of intention there, and they're just gonna say no. So you just need to have like a very, very simple opener, and this is a very simple way to do that, just to get your foot in the door. And then from that, the reason why it works is because it's very casual. So you want to make sure this is in a casual tone. If you recorded yourself, played it back, and you heard yourself stuttering or sounding like very shaky voiced, you need to practice it a lot more beforehand and get the nerves out of your system, which I have another video on my channel kind of going over how to get rid of a fear of cold calling. But really from that though, you just need to make sure you have a very casual tone. Like you don't care if you get the listing or not. People can hear that in your voice because obviously they can't see you, you're not in person. So tonality plays a massive, massive role when it comes to this. And then from that though too, again, you just want to make sure it's zero pressure for them. Like absolutely no pressure to them. If they feel any pressure whatsoever, they're going to say no. And that's why the cold call opener where you sit there and just say, hey, are you still looking to sell your property? Does not work because it's instantly asking for a massive ask from the prospect. So obviously they're going to say no because there's a lot of pressure behind selling someone's home. Like you guys are asking somebody to sell their home with you, to relocate, like pick up and move to a different location and let you be the person to help them do that. It's a very, very big ask when you think about it. So you want to make it very, very low pressure. And then from that, you want it to make it kind of feel like a check-in to them. Like you're just kind of like checking in, making sure they're doing well, see if they need any kind of help or anything like that, and just kind of seeing where you can kind of fill gaps in and whatever problems and things like that that they currently have. That's kind of the whole goal. You do not want to be pitching at all. Because again, your goal isn't to sell, it's to literally just start a conversation. You don't know you can help them yet. If somebody's property is worth $500,000 and you're just sitting there saying like, hey, yeah, I can help you sell it in 30 days, blah, blah, blah. I have tons of buyers and everything like that. I'm just ready to go. I have an amazing marketing strategy. And they're like, yeah, we want to sell it for $750,000. How are you gonna make that work? Because now you're just sitting there just constantly lying to the prospect while you're on the phone. They know it subconsciously. Even if you do have a good marketing strategy, even if you might have a couple different buyers, like, but here's the number one thing, right? If we're talking to sell or we're actually talking to homeowners and we're lying to them by sitting there saying we have a bunch of buyers and this amazing marketing strategy, we would already be coming to them saying like, hey, I have a buyer. His name's Michael. He's willing to offer $600,000 for your property. I saw you had it listed for $650,000. I know it's a little bit less. Are you willing to take it? But we're not doing that because we don't have that. We're trying to lie. So that's one of the things, again, that you need to make sure you're not trying to just sell, you're just trying to have a conversation. Super simple. And then from there, here's actually like a 72-hour action game plan for you to actually implement to actually get these listings in 72 hours. Again, no matter who you are right now, if you're watching this video, you can get an appointment within 72 hours. Like I've seen it way less than this. I've seen it in like 4 hours, somebody implementing this system. Super fucking simple. Like it's very, very simple. So day number one, I just want you to call 20 leads. Like that's the whole goal. And 20 leads, from what I understand from that perspective, I know some people have different definitions on what like a lead is. A lead is somebody who has some level of attention of possibly wanting to sell their property. That could be right now, that could be 6 months from now or a year from now. That is what I consider a lead. Like if somebody sat there and said, hey, I have no intention ever selling, I'm going to die in this home and I'm 40 years old and I'm probably going to live till 100 years old. They have 60 more years in that property. It's not going to be a lead, obviously. So that's kind of what I do. And then from there, though, too, you want to leave some voicemails and follow up with a simple text. So not only do you want to be calling these people, leave them a voicemail they don't answer. Leave them 2 voicemails they don't answer. And also send them a text. We want to make sure we get our message across. If you can't get your message received, we're not going to actually move into an actual deal with that person or ever actually end up working with them or get referred over to somebody we could work with because we can't even actually get in contact with somebody. Super simple. So day number 2, what I want you to do is start off by calling back any non-responders. So when you sat there and you did your research earlier and you saw the people who had a listing up, it just expired or whatever it is, obviously it's a higher level of intention there. You want to be calling these people constantly until you get in contact with them. So really follow up or die. That's essentially what it is. So you need to be calling back all these non-responders, trying to start those conversations. And again, just literally kind of open with a very, very simple message. From this one, if we're trying to follow up with them, like if they have not answered, we can be a little bit more direct because now they might be ignoring our calls or certain things like that. They might see your name, not recognize it, just be out the picture. So you could just literally say something like, are you still open to selling? Super, super fucking simple. Again, they might be direct to the point and say yes. They might say no. They might say maybe, just depends on X, Y, Z. But now your foot's either in the door or it's out. And if it's out, that's fine because now we know not to call that person again and waste our time with them. So either way, it's still a win for you. And then day number 3 is I want you to do a final touch point with the person. So every single lead you're contacting, you have to have a final touch point from them to where otherwise you're just wasting your time. So basically you can literally say, hey, totally understand that things have changed. Just wanted to offer a second set of eyes before the market shifts again and see if I can help you sell your property. Something along those lines, like just like a last final check-in, being more direct. Because again, if we go back up here to the very beginning, the whole goal to open our cold call essentially is to get our foot inside the door and start that conversation. But if they're not having a conversation with us, it's a one-way, kind of street. We're just texting them or following it with a voicemail, whatever it is. It doesn't matter now if we're a little bit more direct because now we're just wasting our time talking to that person. So it's okay to start asking people, are you still open to selling and things of that nature once you get down to day 3 and the side of a follow-up. And from that, again, your target is to get 1 to 2 quality conversations per day, which essentially is going to help get 1 listing appointment booked. So ideally, within this 72-hour time period, you could be getting anywhere from 1 to 3 listing appointments within a 72-hour period. And then from that, we need to actually turn these listing appointments into actual cash. So it's a very, very simple way to do this. So once you have literally a live seller on the phone, one of the things I want you to understand is you shouldn't be winging these conversations, is you should be using a proven structure to actually guide the conversation forward towards a listing appointment. If you're just going into it with no clear direction, not only are you probably not going to get the listing appointment, because people who are very structured and know what they're going to do, they have tons and tons of business. Like if you look at the top 1% of agents when they have conversations, they're direct to the point. They know exactly how the conversation should go. They're leading their prospect there, not following their prospect to wherever the prospect wants to go. And that's why they don't waste time. So if you're sitting there talking to a prospect for 45 minutes and you don't get a listing appointment, you have a messaging problem. Like you're very, very bad. And it's not to be a diss to you, but you have a very, very bad conversational skill set when it comes to setting listing appointments. So a very easy and very simple framework to have is called the MOVE framework. So basically it's motivation, objections, value, and expectation. So from that, motivation is what made you decide to actually list originally? What makes you consider actually wanting to sell your property? Like that's essentially what we're trying to do, is find what the type of motivation they currently have right now as to why they potentially might want to sell. And again, we want to be having a mindset this entire period where we're sitting there assuming they probably don't want to sell. We're just trying to have a conversation to see if they actually do or not, and if there's enough motivation to actually see if we can help them or not. And then from there, we need to essentially kind of future pace objections. So you can be asking things like, what held you back from selling in the first place? And obviously they might give you a little bit of surface level answer or whatever it is. And they might just kind of say like a little bit of basic information, but you can dive into it more. So a very, very good way to kind of dive into objections and really build good rapport is to kind of think about like if you had a cut on your arm, right? Like pain is what drives people to do stuff. Like if I have a little cut on my arm, I'm not going to go to the doctor. If I have a massive gash on my arm and I'm about to pass out, I'm going to go to the doctor. Pain is a motivator. Same thing for people's financial situations, personal situations, health situations, etc. So we want to dive into those pains. So if they kind of give us a very basic generic answer, dive into that pain more. It's like literally sit there and kind of like squeeze into that pain more and ask a follow-up question in that pain and make them dive deeper into it. It's going to build very, very good rapport. And then from that, you actually want to go over value essentially from there. So here's what I'm actually doing for sellers right now. So you're not going to say what you can help them do. You just want to talk about what you've been doing for other people in the area. Like that's super, super simple, because naturally from the two, again, if we're sitting there saying, hey, I can help you do X, Y, Z, you know that you only had a 5-minute, 10-minute conversation with them up until this point. You don't know too much about their situation or what their current property is or anything of that nature. So now you're kind of just lying and assuming. So naturally what we want to be doing here in this stage, in the value stage, is talking about value we provided to other people. So like, for example, say they were talking about moving down. I've used this example before, but let's just say, for example, they were moving down to Florida to try to go see their grandkids. It's an older couple. They just want to move down to Florida, be by the beach, retire, etc. on that end. That's one of the things you could talk about is like, oh yeah, I actually helped this other family who's actually in the military, needed this other property really quick to go relocate to this other place, and we helped them do it very, very efficiently. And you start walking through a case study, essentially, of another agent that you provided value to that's a kind of a similar situation to theirs. Very simple. And so even, for example, if you're a brand new agent right this second and you don't have any of those case studies, ask your brokerage, like what are some other people that they've actually helped recently that are pretty similar to these types of scenarios. So naturally, whenever, for example, you're hopping on the phone, you're talking to somebody right here who's trying to basically relocate for time or money or whatever it is, you have a case scenario that you can end up kind of relating that to and showing the value you provided there. Super simple. Then from that, you want to go over expectations. So again, setting expectations right at the gate is very, very important with the prospect. So you could say something like, if I could show you how to get X outcome, whatever the outcome is, sell the home in 30 days, like whatever they kind of told you their main basically motivation is up here, of like, oh, we want to sell fast, we want to make the most amount of money for our property, whatever it is. That's what you want to do. It's like, if I could sell your property for the highest value in the market, or basically something along those lines, would it hurt just to have like a quick 15-minute conversation just to see if that's an option for you, or see if that makes sense for you to actually entertain it? Again, we're still not trying to sell. Like when you go back up to here, I want you to write this down. Your goal is not to sell, it's to start conversations. If you have conversations, you will end up getting listings. When you get listings, you will sell it, you will make money. But too many people go into it the wrong mindset. So from that as well, I don't want you to talk for 20 minutes to try to sound smart. I want you to ask better questions. So people basically judge your level of intelligence based on the questions you ask, not by the statements you make. And so, for example, like if I just went to a doctor's office, I'm trying to talk about my broken arm that we were talking about earlier, messed up arm, whatever it is, and he's just rambling on about, oh, arms are so cool, I love arms, I actually have pretty big arms, and sort of like going down stuff like that. He's just talking. It doesn't really help me. Versus if he starts asking me questions, which your doctor does, they start asking a bunch of questions. What happened to it? How did it feel? Like, how long has this pain been going on for? They start asking more really good questions that make you start to really think back about how you're currently feeling, how it's affecting you, how it started, what do you want moving forward, all these different things. And that's why they're looked at as an expert. Same thing for you. You don't want to talk for 20 minutes, tired, smart. You just literally want to ask really good questions. And from there as well, if you don't get an appointment in 72 hours, which if you've done everything, if you've done all this up until this point, like it is a 90% chance you're going to get a listing appointment within 72 hours. But for some random reason you don't, this is exactly what I want you to do, is this strategy is literally based on speed and volume. So if you haven't booked one after 3 days, here's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to audit your funnel. And this is what I mean by that, is I want you to ask yourself 3 different questions. Are your leads high quality? Right? If not, I literally want you to go back and build a better list using Zillow and filtering them out better through actual expireds with better intent on that end. And one of the things I'll say really quick as well, just as a last kind of point, this one is most agents think that lead quality is the biggest problem in their business. It's not. I guarantee for 90% of you here, it's going to be, if you're at the spot where you haven't gotten a listing appointment in basically 3 days, it's going to be your messaging. Your messaging is weak. Like if you sat there and recorded yourself, like I kind of talked about earlier, like if you recorded yourself and heard yourself back, you would understand why nobody is actually wanting to set the listing appointment with you. Like very, very simple. Like say, for example, you have a laptop in front of you, you have your phone and you're calling with your phone, literally record yourself with your computer. Hear yourself back with these conversations with these homeowners that you're having. Like shaky tone, don't sound confident at all. You're trying to hurry up and sell and rush these conversations. Like listen to yourself back and you'll understand why lead quality is not your issue. It's literally going to be basically messaging. Like, again, I've worked with like hundreds of agents at this point, almost thousands of agents at this point. Naturally, again, majority of the agents are really struggling more with a lead messaging problem more than a lead quality problem. So I definitely would recommend doing this. And then third, say for example, like your lead quality is high, it's high, your messaging is actually really, really good, then look at if you're following up, because a lot of deals are going to come from follow-ups naturally. That's why at the very, very beginning up here, we talked about literally going through 3 days of actually contacting the same leads over and over again. Because deals are made in the follow-up. People are busy. I don't answer the phone every single time I get a call. I don't. I will never do that, right? We're all busy. We're doing things on a daily basis. It's not going to happen. So your deals will be made a lot of times in the follow-ups, especially down the road when you start building up a really good pipeline. That's how it's going to happen. So if you want more deals, follow the strategy. I guarantee you'll get some more deals. And again, hopefully with that, you'll get some list appointments within 72 hours.